Hello and welcome to Manga 96, and today we have the review of One Piece manga chapter 1046 titled Raizo. This chapter has an unexpected hero named Raizo. I really didn't expect him to do much after his endurance battle with Fukurokujo. Well, I really didn't expect too much of anything from him going into Onigashima, but in the end he easily overshadowed the three-hearted samurai in Denjiro, who by the looks of it has the same sense of direction like Zoro, if not worse, considering that he has been absent for over a year. Ashura Doji, who really didn't do much but had a good death. That is, he really is dead. If not, well, I really don't want to even think about it. And lastly, Kawamatsu, the biggest disappointment, as he appeared regularly, but didn't do jack shit. Compared to those three and Kinemon and Kiko, to a degree, Raizo really did carry the honor of the scabbards on his back in this arc. In other news, Luffy isn't just the sun god, but apparently also Zeus on top of it. Now, let's save all that for later and start at the beginning of this week's chapter. This week we have another intriguing cover with two intruders entering Chocolate Town, with the citizens running for their lives after seeing them. Who are those two mysterious intruders? From the silhouetted boots that we see, it can be assumed that one of the intruders is a woman, with the other one being a man. So the first assumption will be that it's Ichiji and Raizo have come to save their brothers. But what can also be said is that the boots that the intruders are wearing aren't the German boots from the raid suits. Considering that both Raizo and Ichiji aren't idiots, I don't believe that they will come into enemy territory without their raid suits on already. And considering that it's highly unlikely for them to go save their brothers in the first place, I don't think that those two silhouettes are them. So, if those intruders aren't Raizo and Ichiji, who are they? Maybe the theory that the Blackbeard pirates will attack Totoland in the absence of Big Mom is finally coming true. Or maybe not. Either way, it will be interesting to see who it turns out to be in the end. Going into the chapter, we start with Luffy cheerfully bouncing up and down on the ground, with Kaido recovering from Luffy's last punch. Luffy can't think of a name for the attack that he used in the last chapter. This is probably the first time in the series that he can't think of an attack name on the spot. Kaido asks him a rather curious question, and that's who he is. After this question, Oda sneakily cuts to Zunisha, who is overjoyed with the similarities between Luffy and Joy Boy, where it even feels like the Joy Boy from 800 years is back, that is, it has to be destiny. But thankfully that it doesn't spiral into any reincarnation bullshit, as Luffy cuts this in the root by having his usual Pirate King speech. This response brings a smile to Kaido's face, where he apparently drops the bombshell on what are the requirements to awaken a Delph-Root. If we are to believe Kaido's words here, the requirements to awaken a Delph-Root is for the user's body and mind to reach the same level as the fruit's potential. Only then will it awaken. Which would mean the more broken the Delph-Root ability is, the harder it is to awaken it. In contrast to this, the weaker the power is, the easier it is to awaken. Going by this logic, the Jacket fruit is the easiest to awaken of all the Delph-Roots. After that, we get an epic double-page spread where both Kaido and Luffy dish out multiple attacks to each other, which just looks epic. After the clash, Luffy inhales a bit of the smoke from the raging fire down below, which brings their conversation on what is happening down below, where Kaido tries to shake Luffy by claiming that everyone down below will die in the fire. For Kaido to use psychological warfare 2 chapters in a row just shows how much on the ropes he currently is, and like in the last chapter, it doesn't faze Luffy one bit, as he believes in everyone down below that they will manage to pull through, with him needing to only concentrate on beating Kaido here. Then we get an update on everyone on where they are, what they're doing and how is the fire affecting them. First we have the reunion between Nami and Chopper, where Chopper tries to ask Zeus if he can put the fire out. His response is that he can't, but I think the reason for this is that the fire is in a closed-off space, so there isn't enough moisture in the air for Zeus to get big enough to extinguish the fire, as opposed to being just too big for him, as he claims in this chapter. With this option out of the window, we move to Beppo and some of the other hard pirates who are as useful as always. We see how Robin and Brook meet up with some samurai fodder, with a scene only resulting in a skull joke. Sanji is also on his feet again and also surrounded with some geishas. he's trying to find an exit to bring the geishas to safety. But the island has broken off so much that there really isn't any place to go apart from jumping down off the island. We also have a brief scene with Apu and Imbi, where it seems that Imbi is fed up with Apu. So there is a real possibility that the next time we see Apu, he'll be squashed in the ground, which will be a fitting end to his character. Moving on to Usopp, who is trying his best to put out the fire around them, but it doesn't amount to much. At least he tried, if nothing else. Speaking of trying, we see Frankie, who is trying to bring the unconscious Zoro to Chopper as fast as possible. Judging from what he's saying, if he doesn't, Zoro could really die, which also means that Zoro isn't dead yet. After all those little updates, we finally move to the resolution to this fire problem in the form of Raizo, with a little assistance from Jinbei. As the fateful night 20 years ago, where Raizo could only helplessly watch as Oden Castle burned to the ground, ignited a resolve in him to not let something similar happen again. For that, he came prepared. He sealed a portion of Zunisha's water that it's used to wash itself, to have something to use in the case of a large fire, which this certainly qualifies for. Not only is this cool and how he used his devil fruit power, but it's also poetic, as by doing this he saved a lot of Ming's lives who are about to be burned alive, that way paying his debt to them for protecting him back at Zou. Anyway, Raizo releases the water towards Jinbei, who redirects it so it will extinguish the fire in every part of the castle. That way, we see how the redirected water saves some Ming's lives as well as killers and some of the kid parts as well who got shot by the fire. With the fire problem under control, courtesy to Ninja Raizo and firefighter Jinbei, we once again move outside Onigashima, where Yamato comes to a startling realization, and that's that Kaido's flame clouds will vanish any second as he is at his limit. Which would mean that after finally having the fire problem which plagued the inside of Onigashima for dozens of chapters under control, another problem arises, and that's that Onigashima will have a free fall in a few seconds if nothing is done. This is why Yamato hurries Momo up to stop their committing job on the fight between Kaido and Luffy and to start to do the job that he was meant to do in the first place. Where, considering how pathetic Momo's flame clouds were when he tried it in the first place, which is why he resorted to pulling Kaido's to pull Onigashima away from the capital. I really don't see him creating flame clouds on the scale of Kaido's now just seconds before it all goes to shit. So it will be interesting to see what Momo does. But at this point I wouldn't ignore the option that Onigashima actually falls. As now it's pretty far from the capital. The bombs in the armory were frozen by Yamato, and if Gedatsu could have survived falling headfirst 10,000 meters, then I think that most of the characters inside Onigashima could survive falling from a couple of hundred or thousand meters. So, while Onigashima falling is a concern, I don't think that it will be the end of the world if he did fall. But more than likely, Momo will be somehow able to make his flame clouds just enough big to slowly lower Onigashima down. Out of those two scenarios, Momo succeeding is the more likely option, but I would like to see the second one, where Onigashima just falls. Because even if he did, as I said previously, I don't think that the damage will be too bad, or that there will be a lot of casualties either. Anyway, for the last scene of the chapter, we're back with Luffy and Kaido. Some stuff did happen in the meantime while we saw the valiant efforts of Raizo and Jinbei in order to put out the fire. As we see how Luffy is holding a lightning bolt like Zeus, not a cloud Zeus, but a Zeus from Greek mythology, ready to throw this lightning at Kaido. With Kaido eagerly awaiting it, we end this chapter. Now, first of all, I don't think that Luffy has created this lightning bolt or that he has any lightning ability. I think that he just grabbed a lightning bolt from the stormy skies above, as you normally do, intending to throw it at Kaido like Zeus would. Luffy does look badass in this panel holding a lightning and all, and I can sort of see how he will be able to grab a lightning in the first place, considering that he is rubber and that he can influence his surrounding. It kinda makes sense that he will be able to do a thing like that. Now, that being said, is this fight going to finally end in the next chapter? considering that the finale where Yamato urges Momo to create flame clouds as Onigashima is about to fall supports this notion. But no matter how cool this final panel may look like, I don't think that this lightning bolt is enough to finish off Kaido. However, while I'm skeptical that this fight will wrap up in the next chapter, I do think that it's realistic to assume that it will wrap up before Oda's next scheduled break. What I mean by that is that we have a break now, and One Piece will resume in a double issue, which means that after that issue, the magazine itself will go on a week-long break. After that break is over, we'll probably get 2 or 3 chapters before another Oda break, in which I believe this fight between Kaido and Luffy will finally end. All in all, this was an unexpectedly good chapter considering that Raizo was the main star of the chapter. With Zoro being confirmed to be still alive but at the brink of death, and Luffy turning into a Zeus in order to finish off Kaido. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content, as well as other manga content, and until next time, take care.